Gundam.tk presents Gundam GP03S Stamen. Welcome to part 2 of my review of the Gundam GP03S Stamen, and don't forget to check out part 1 to see all the parts and details. To put this all together, you're just going to put the legs onto the polycaps, and they're fairly large, so I think once you put them in, that's the kind of thing that you're never going to want to take out again. Put on the lower waist, and then you're going to have the choice between the core fighter and the core block, as mentioned in part 1. So I'm going to go with the core block, which has some holes there, and you simply push that down, and it fits quite nicely into place. And then bend up the canopy and put on the chest, which still leaves the yellow parts there. Close that up, and all of a sudden we've got the start of a Gundam. As far as parts go, the arm is probably the most interesting part of this. It's got a pivoting shoulder, it can bend up here to a 90-degree angle, great touch. As I said, the hands don't move very much because with solid fingers and solid thumbs. I remember on the box thinking that the extendable arm gimmick is pretty crappy, but you know what? It's actually more fun than I expected. So what you do to extend it is you pull this off, and of course it's going to fall off anyway, but then you can just slap that back on, and then you take the arm, which is bent in here, get a little snap sound, pull it out, and then you're going to get this. And then what you can do is seal that back up and then actually detach this from the forearm. And at this point I recommend taking the hands right off, and you can spin that around and you have a grabby arm. So if you're sitting on the couch and too lazy to get the remote, yeah, this Gundam's got your back. As far as stickers go, you've just got 2 green stickers that are going to go on the lower legs. This goes on the chest, these go on the helmet, and of course you've got the regular Gundam eyes. But what's special of course about the 0083 kits is that they actually show their markings in the show, so if you want to put on the 01, 02, and 03, in this case you have a choice between small ones, which they show in the demo work, or the large one, and I think I'll probably go with the large one just to make it match my other 2. And in addition to the dry decals and stickers, you're also going to get marking seals, which I'm never a big fan of. It doesn't interfere with you putting on the shoulder and then simply sliding the arm into place. And then once you take the head and pop that on the top, you've got an unweaponized GP03S. Finally, the last step before we put on the weapons is that you're actually just going to plug these thrusters on to the ball joints there on the back. You might have to do some fiddling around with these shoulder thrusters to get them up and out of the way, but all of a sudden we have the queen bee of Gundams. Here's its unarmed spin around, and you can see that it's leaning backwards once you put on the thrusters, but because the legs don't have a lot of mobility, there's not a lot that you can do to fix that besides just stick them right in the back and have him lean forward to fix it. So some balance issues already. As far as height comparisons go, he's right where he should be in the 18-meter range, and looks just fine next to the Alex or the original RX-78-2. Here it is with the GP01 and the GP02A for its Stardust brothers. It lines up just well with the GP01 in terms of size. As far as colors go, because the GP03 was the step up from the GP01, I think it's sort of neat that they've got different colored feet, because usually Gundam in the same series like X, they'll both have blue feet, etc. But in this case they actually switch from a very traditional looking Gundam, especially with the red there, to a mostly blue and white one with only tiny bits of red here. But overall, I have to say I like the color scheme of the GP03S a lot more. In terms of posability, you're able to bring the legs forward, but all of the joints are incredibly tight, which is great at the start. You're able to get the knees down. Like I said, the ankles seem to have a lot of movement, but it's not actually good because it has the detaching heel, which doesn't give you very much stability. The thrusters are able to move around and don't get in the way too much. The arm can go around and move up almost 180. Pretty much a full 180, and then what I do like is how adjustable these are. You can bring them forward and back and achieve different kind of looks. As far as weapons go, because it's got a solid fist with no fingers, no problem putting the gun in, but it is loose because there's no peg on it. And the shield, the way you put that on, once you unfold it, is a little bit unique. you're going to open up this claw at the top and then put that in, and then you have to make sure that you put the shield in the right way. There's a triangle shape here. Line that up, and then you're able to plug it in to a panel on the side. But what I did is, just a second ago I tried this, and I found that I put the polycap in the wrong way. So when you're putting the arm in together, be careful of that. Here's a weaponized spin, and remember that the shield will be better, but again you can see that it is sort of leaning backwards still, so you're going to have to do a lot to get the feet lined up just right. Here's a shot of the A-plate, and you can see the clear parts, the yellow parts, the red parts, and what I've done is I painted these clear parts while they were on the sprues, but that means that when you cut them off, you're going to have a bit of a discoloration. So all I'm going to do is take a Gundam Real Touch marker, in this case red, and just touch that up, touch up the other side, and then you can take that and put it in to the bazooka and the beam rifles, and I think that the clear red makes them stand out quite a bit more. You can put in a beam saber, of course, but with the bazooka, because the hands are molded, you have to put in the open hand, or you can just sort of take the bazooka, just bend that around, and put it into the closed fist. But either way, this bazooka is not built in any way, shape, or form to go up or above. So if you notice in all the action poses on the side of the box, it's just got the bazooka sort of hanging limply, and really I don't think there's anything else that you can do with it. And here is its famous action pose from the side of the box. Probably one of the better poses you can pull off. One thing that has to be mentioned is that the GP03S doesn't function that much as a standalone Gundam in the OVA, but instead, as you all know, it locks into the largest, most ridiculous set of armor you'll ever see. However, yeah, we're never going to see a master grade of that. The high grade 144th is already about $300, so yeah, this is all you're going to get in 1/100th scale, I'm afraid. Some final thoughts now on the GP03S. And I have to say that probably my first and favorite thing about this Gundam is the fact that you can put in the core block and have a separate, huge, and awesome looking core fighter. So for me, that makes the playability just go up by that much more. The weapons are okay, folding shield, folding bazooka, they're good gimmicks, but I don't really know how much you're going to use them. The beam rifle is solid, but they should have had pegs on there. Overall, in terms of mobility, I think you're going to notice that the legs are very limited, and that in a large part is due to the fact that the polycaps are so tight. But given a choice between tight polycaps and loose ones, I'd take tight ones anytime, because with time and just a little bit of practice, you're able to pull off some pretty cool poses. Now overall, as I said at the beginning, a lot of Gundams, especially the newer ones, as UC fans will complain, are really back heavy where they rely on a big backpack to be cool. And I think that the GP03S, by having a simple weapon system on its back and sort of the big wing looking things at the bottom, I think it sort of stands out to be very unique amongst Gundams. So though it really doesn't have a lot of posability, if you have a choice between the GP03S and the GP01, I would go with the GP03S every time, mostly because of the color scheme and just because it looks a little bit better, I would say. But in terms of playability, even though it's a poor model overall with zero posability, it can't really beat the GP02A. And don't forget, you can check out reviews of all of these kits. And as always, thanks for watching. www.gundam.tk. So lazy. Can't reach. Must pretend it's Nina's